It's funny because I get pitched a lot. I get like 300, 400 pitches a day, and I have for a long time. That's just kind of like part and parcel with running a music website, especially as they start to diminish worldwide. Um, and then the press release came in, and I was like, "Freedom Heartsong." I don't even know anything about this person. I haven't even heard the music, and I was already replying saying, "Can I chat with them?"
I love that.
So, how did you develop this amazing moniker?
Oh man, well, over time, but I think the name really just comes from the universe, like all things, and the source of all life and all happenings. And freedom came to me. I was traveling around with the chief representative of the Northern Cheyenne tribe at one point from
Huh.
Montana, and we were getting into some real deep spirit stuff. And at one point, he relayed to me that that was my name. And this was a long time ago. I was only like 20 something, 21 or something like that, 20. And I was like, oh, okay, amazing. All right, that's wonderful. But then it continued to happen, right? And, the universe could speak through a flower, it could speak through a person, it could speak through anything, right? And
Yeah.
so, um, it kept coming, and I'm the type of person. I actually have a new song that's not even on the record, it's newer than that, it's called "Go With The Flow," but that couldn't sum up my life and existence better, go with the flow. I try and just tune in to that and go with that. And so the names were given to me, and Heart Song, of course, is the song of the heart, the sound of creation, the real source within us all, the light, because everything in the universe is vibration. And so when you tune in to that vibration in a harmonious way, amazing things happen and you go with the flow and life is available to you.
It's funny how once you tap into the flow and you really embrace it, things just start to happen so much faster. I mean,
Oh my,
I've been on a crazy journey over the last few years, like with, I'm sure we'll get into it, like a lot of hardship, a lot of struggle, a lot of breakthroughs, which I then realized were all part of this like growth and leveling up mentally and spiritually, getting pushed into new comfort zones or areas of discomfort, which then force you to change and grow. But
yeah.
man, once I was like, "Okay, I feel you. I'm looking for the signs. I'm embracing." It just happens fast, these principles of attraction. Do you feel the
Yeah,
same?
I kind of see it as like a lightning ocean. It kind of just, but it's very calm and powerful. And, there's a season in everything, right?
Yeah,
There's a timing. But I try to just every day just surrender everything that I think I know and just embrace what the universe has to give me, teach me, and
right.
not have any desires too much. You know what I mean?
Yeah, yeah. I'm like you when when things come up, they come out of nowhere, and then I embrace them, and then oftentimes, with hindsight, I realize, "Oh, man, I couldn't have picked, like, a better name, or this couldn't have worked out more magically than if I had tried a million different ways." Even Heart Dealer, I was on top of a mountain going for a hike after having a falling out with my girlfriend, who's still my girlfriend, thank God she stuck around. But, like, I'm having this crisis, I'm top of this mountain, I'm questioning life, and all of a sudden, like, all these ideas just start to percolate, and I remember voice noting it. Um, I'm a big fan of numerology, specifically ones and threes, hence V13. But it was January 3rd. I'm on this mountaintop, and out of nowhere, like Heart Dealer just happened. And it's because for me, like I said before we hit record, I'm all about love and logic. I'm trying to deal as much love out there as possible. And it just Heart Dealer. It just happened.
I love it. Yeah,
Yeah.
that's how it goes. I feel like, inspiration flows like that. You just tune in and it can strike like lightning.
Mhm.
And there's also, I feel like this kind of endless fountain that you can just tune into within yourself, right? When it comes to creating something.
Yeah. It's funny because like You mentioned go with the flow earlier. I'm a big believer in flow. I mean, Queens of the Stone Age literally have a song called Go with the Flow. In Costa Rica, Pura Vida is kind of almost the embracing or embodiment of that ideology, go with the flow. I just finished a book by Michael A. Singer called The Surrender Experiment, which was also about just surrendering to the universe, going with the flow,
Yeah.
removing the desire or the anti-desire, like the choice of I like, I don't like, and just seeing what the universe presents you. And the more you do that, not only the easier things get, but then the more you realize that like so many people have already like shared these lessons, you just have to open your mind to what is there and embrace them.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, it makes life so much easier because you don't have to worry so much about the how, you
Mhm.
know, worrying about how things are going to be or how they're going to happen is a major source of anxiety. And in my experience, if you just live in the present moment as much as possible and live as the best version of yourself and are always learning what that means,
Yeah,
and sharing that, yeah, life is great. I love my life. Life's wonderful.
yeah,
Not without its hardships or challenges, like you were talking about earlier, of course. But it all is an evolution. It all is a flow, and it's just always changing. And like George Harrison said, all things must pass. Right?
yeah.
It's just the way. It's the nature of life.
I've found that the more I learn, the more lessons I have, the more ammunition, arsenal, whatever I have available spiritually, as you said, life's hard. It never stops being difficult, but we have this amazing tool amazing like war chest of tools to just get back on the path even faster because we're gonna fall
Oh
off
yeah.
like all the time.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think it's like, for me, it's just staying remaining centered in myself and what my focus truly is, and not allowing my happiness or well-being to be determined by anything external.
Mhm.
Because as soon as as soon as I start to have my happiness or well-being determined by things outside of me and not just remaining the source of my own peace and tranquility, that's when it really just goes haywire. And so it's so simple. Yeah, it seems so simple, but there's so many distractions or other things in the world or whatever that bring us into all sorts of different realms of thought. They're
Yeah,
not, aligned with that. So it's a journey.
it is, and it's funny because you can have all the sayings and expressions, but until you have, like, that lived experience and the
Yeah,
aha moment where you actually like, "Oh my god, the present is a gift. Now I get it. Now I understand why it's a gift because pure presence will allow me to harness all of this other stuff more easily."
absolutely. Yeah.
You
And
still
and
have
you
to
just,
learn and fail.
you said what?
You still have to learn and fail to get the lessons, even if you know the lessons.
Exactly, and, the person who really succeeds doesn't even believe in failure, and, as Napoleon Hill would say, and literally you just keep going, and the failure is just sign that your plans are not sound, and then you just make new plans and set sail again.
Yeah. I have this thing with my kids. I've got a 10, 9, 8, and 5-year-old at home. 2 of
Nice.
mine, 2 are my stepkids, and, what I've been doing with my daughter, my 8-year-old lately is she gets really down on herself, like, we were at baseball, a couple days ago, and she actually was yesterday, she, like, was striking out, she was missing the ball, and at one point, I said, "Great job failing, Livy. Great job failing." And she just
Mm,
looked at me like, "What are you talking about?" And I said, "Do you remember the lesson? What is failure?" She said, "This is learning." What is learning? One step closer to getting better on the path, like the right thing to do. So we turn these things into a positive because they are. I
absolutely.
believe that like chaos, crisis, failure is just something good that hasn't been realized or learned yet.
Yeah. Yeah, it's another, like you said, removing the perception of I like it, I don't like it, or good and bad, or whatever. It really
Mhm.
frees you up, and you just
Yeah.
kind of see it as all part of the experience, I think.
So as much as I want to stay philosophical and present, I gotta ask about, your history. So was West Virginia coast before you moved to LA? So have you what is that
No,
accurate
so
or
Virginia, yeah, so Virginia,
Virginia, sorry.
no, you're good. So Virginia, near the Chesapeake Bay and the Atlantic Ocean, by the beach, and yeah, that's where I grew up. All my family's from New York, so I grew up there a bit too. All like New York Italian, just big, loud family, wonderful, good vibes. A lot of good memories.
Yeah.
And yeah, and then when I was about 20 or so, I came out to California first time, and in like 2013, I kind of came more full time and have been here along different parts of the city since then.
What took you from east to west?
Well, I think I got to a point where I had gone to college a couple times, and it wasn't really just for me. And I've always been a musician and artist since I was, very young. And I really just wanted to sit on the beach and play my guitar all day long. That was kind of where I was at when I was about 19.
Uh,
And so I did. That's what I did. And I came to
yeah.
California, and it's also a much more progressive area out here. Not anymore. Virginia is very progressive now, but it's more progressive in the sense of like, um, just California has a magic to it. It really does. If you're spending time or visited, there's just a magic to it.
It's funny, I did it east to west as well. So I was born in Toronto. I went to school for a year in Rhode Island. I spent most of my time in Ontario, which is, 8 hours from New York. You grow up traveling the East Coast just because it's easier flight wise. And then during the pandemic, because my ex had her family in Vancouver and it was so beautiful, we finally had an opportunity to move here and we did. And I'm not like an East versus West guy at all. I think that where you are is where you are.
No,
But
yeah.
I felt like I was vibrating on a different frequency when I moved here, and I don't know if it was because I was closer to the ocean or the mountains or whatever, but I just felt more at home. Did you feel any difference, like, physically moving?
Um, yeah, I mean, absolutely. There's an energy, of course, to any place, and I think the amount of sunshine that we get here makes a major difference too. Like, because I love the sun. Some people do, some people don't, whatever.
Mhm.
But it really is a wonderful thing. And the ocean, being near the ocean, being in the sun, I think it has a major effect on the energy of a place, of course.
Yeah. Growing up, I'm always curious about, like, the journey and where the milestones or markers happened. Was there, like, a initial moment where you had that first epiphany about being more connected to the universe that meets the eye?
Like a singular moment.
Yeah, like, I mean, for me, I remember the first time, not that I'm endorsing this, but the first time I did shrooms, I was like, this door opened in my mind, and I started to see things from, like, a different dimension, from a
Mhm.
different, level. You go from 1D chess to 3D chess, and that
Yeah.
for me was a huge awakening.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like, honestly, I feel like I experience that most days. All day, every day, I'm kind of having those kind of moments, and I feel like the first one, I don't know if it really was. I feel like I've maybe when I was about 18, 19, 20, and when I really started to get much deeper into meditation too. I think that, of course, had a major effect, and I think that everybody should meditate every day. To know themselves, and that, of course, is a thing. And many life experiences. I've been through so many different things over the years, and different places. You mentioned Costa Rica. I lived there for a few months in the middle of the rainforest, just meditating in the rainforest. That was a powerful time of awakening for
Mhm.
sure. Um, yeah, I try and just live in that as much as possible every day, I would say, you know?
Yeah. Meditation is definitely something that I have to add more of to my life. I see the benefits. There's different types of meditation, active, passive.
Sure.
Does it
Yeah.
like how does one even pick? How does one start? How does one choose? Like, what's your perspective on it?
Well, my perspective on it would be that you can just start with like a few minutes, even 5 minutes, whatever, of just I think it's important to do seated or laying down meditation and to close your eyes because then you're really not relying on your senses and you're gonna trying to get to the core of your being, right?
Mm,
And then just deep breathing really and focusing on whatever it is you identify with in the inner core of your being as like the source of your existence, I guess. And just using all of your thoughts, focusing all of your thoughts on that,
mm,
you know? And, thoughts fluctuate, come in and out, whatever, that's fine. It doesn't matter, but you always just bring it back to that. And you just breathe deeply, bring it back to that center. And that's what works for me. But a lot of people say, "Oh, well, this is my meditation. This is my meditation." And it is, every single person is different. So it just depends.
yeah.
Um, but I think it's important to look within. I think all great teachers have shown us that, I think.
I think that's the net message is, that presence. However you get to that presence, it is
Yeah.
the key to understanding yourself and to your place in this universe, and even to what it is that is your purpose and what you want to do in life.
Of course, yeah, it's the source of all really relevant information, you know?
Yeah, gratitude, meditation, psychedelics, what are other ways to get to your core in your experience?
Music, art, playing music, of course, that's one of the biggest. I've had so many, revelatory experiences through music, of course. That's another one. All my life, really, I couldn't pick one, there's been so many, so many. And, music and the creative process, creating art in general, sculpture, writing poetry, painting, you know?
Yeah.
Those type of things really bring me home in that
Mm.
sense.
So this mover shaker, this good vibe guy, this calm man, or at least we strive to be calm in most situations.
Yeah.
Were you born that way? Was it a combination of nature nurture with your family? Was it like after discovering meditation?
I think, we all have an inherent desire to feel love or no love, right? In some form. And really, to me, that search is really just to know oneself. And so I think that, late teens, early 20s, I think it just really became apparent for me that, there was nothing else more important than to know myself and my purpose,
Mm,
and how I can love and serve, because that's what they all say too, love and logic. It's like love and service. All
yeah.
of the teachers from any great, you know, nation or part of the world or whatever, like, all teachers of wisdom say love and serve. That's all there is. So I think that's kind of has been the centerpiece for a long time now. And so,
Mm,
oh, I was a crazy kid. We're all crazy kids. But yeah, I try to enjoy life and spread the good vibes as much as I can, just by being the best version of myself. You know.
yeah. I think that that concept of service is one that we need to focus on more as a society because there's so much love, there's so much spirituality. I mean, yoga and a lot of these things have been popular in Western
Yeah.
civilization for a while now. But I feel like we always do stuff for ourselves, and so much of what I've been studying over the last few years, including the late great Nipsey Hussle, was everything's about giving back. Everything's about putting it back in the community and the people that are around you. And one of the laws of manifestation also says that the more you give, the more you will get. Same idea as, Christmas. I was taught that it's better to give than receive. It feels nicer to see the joy in someone else's face rather than getting something. And I'm trying to instill that in my kids too. How do you how do you serve? How do you remove the ego? How do you create and do all these things for everyone else, but still give back to yourself? Talk to me about your cycle, like how you embody that thought.
Well, when you talk about giving, it makes me think of Khalil Gibran and the Prophet. where he there's one line in there that is like one of the most amazing things I feel like I've ever heard, and it
Mm,
says, "Is not the fear of need itself?" And to me, that just kind of says it all when it comes to giving or anything else, trusting you'll have enough, anxiety over finances or whatever. It's
yeah,
like, isn't the fear of not having just as bad as not having? Like it's
yeah,
the same thing. And so I think that I try and embody that as much as I possibly can. And that's a real challenging one, because we have a lot of responsibilities and things and bills to pay and whatever to do. And so it's not easy to live in that. But I feel like for me, the more that I do, I'm like, oh, right, there's an infinite thing happening here. There's no short supply of anything, you know.
yeah.
And so
I
I
mean,
try to just remember that not to live in a place of, oh, well, worry, really
right.
worry.
Yeah, love over fear. It's the fear of, oh my God, if I won't have money, I can't pay the bill. Where am I going to get my food from? If you focus on the love, those things dissipate. And to your point, it's not easy, but that's the idea. I think it was Tony Robbins. I remember an anecdote where he was like, I made my first money when I was down to my last $100 and I chose to
Oh,
give it away. And I had nothing. I had no plan, nowhere to sleep, no food, whatever the story was. But when I did that, that's when I started to receive back finally. That's when I started to make my first sales or first win, whatever. And I think that's the principle is like you want to be comfortable, but you don't have to be scared of being uncomfortable. You'll be okay.
yeah. Exactly, exactly, and so then giving is, you don't have to overthink giving. If, like, some opportunity comes up and, it seems right and you have the means and the ability, then you do it. And
Yeah.
I think that's part of the same kind of flow thing too.
I try to tap into that flow daily now, and the thing that I've been doing for a while is that as soon as I have a thought, that for me is the universe planting something, and I have to act on it now. So yesterday, I was coming home from an event with my girlfriend and stepson. I was well past the exit where the grocery store was on the way to my place. But it was for some reason at that point in time that in my head was, "You should buy her flowers." So I pulled off at the next exit, turned all the way around. She's like, "What are you doing?" I said, "I forgot something." I went into the store to get her flowers without her knowing. My stepson loves Bob Ross. I knew I was in the right spot and making
I
the
love
right
it.
decision because I walked in and right there at the cashier was like a magazine about the lives and times of Bob Ross.
That's
So I picked
great.
up
Happy
that, I
trees.
picked up Sorry?
Happy trees.
Happy trees, yeah, exactly. But I picked that up, I picked up the flowers and what I needed, and then I was at the cashier just kinda like, "Okay, let's go, let's get in the car." And then for some reason, I got another one of those flashes because there were these I've never seen them before. You could pull these, like, lottery card things off. They scan it, and then they give you the card. But the idea was buy that and give it to the cashier. And so immediately you start to struggle with, like, okay, with the money and this and that. I said, "Do it." And so she did. She gave me this thing, and I gave it back to her, and she said, "What is this?" And I said, "These are for you. I hope you win." And she was so happy, and she smiled, and I felt so great that I could do that, and then I just continued to the car with the magazine and the flowers, and all of that was simply because I trusted the instinct of this impulse that I got.
Oh, yeah, the impulse is everything, that seed of thought, the idea is where everything starts, you know? And yeah, you can choose to follow it or not, but that's how it was, just that subtle little voice, sometimes not subtle, but sometimes really clear. No, but that little subtle inspiration is where it all starts,
Yeah.
that.
And funnily enough, that's probably like a perfect segue into a lot of what you do. From what I understand, that so much of your art comes from that, right? Whether it's making a guitar or wood carvings or music or painting, like for you, this is tapping into that flow and just creating.
Absolutely. Yeah. I mean, That's exactly what it is, and it's just, kind of channeling the creative energy in whatever direction that
Yeah.
calls for it at the time, I think. And they're all fun. I love I love them all. It's like, I don't want to neglect any. No, but of course music is so central to me. Always has been, and my whole being, and art as well. It's that creative process, and I do love, expressing it in a variety of ways.
Was I mean, all of it's art. I even say that, being an entrepreneur is like being an artist, being a creative. You're creating something out of nothing. You have
Yeah.
a dream, a goal, a vision, and you're pursuing it. What came first specifically? Was it music or was it something else that got the creative juices flowing?
I really do have, like, I feel like it's kind of always been there on both sides in both ways, like music and art. Um, from very young, even like I remember when I was like 8 or 9, was making all these ceramics pieces, they were going in these art shows, different little sculpture pieces. I was like 8 or 9. And then that was also when I was started playing the guitar too around that time. So um I think it's kind of always been a journey for me, just discovering myself, and that has always been what I've done, you know, really, really has um my whole life. So
Someone whose whole life is around creativity and art, do you ever get, like, artistic blocks at all?
Um, honestly, I really don't experience that. I know a lot of people kind of talk about that, but I don't really experience any block um on music and art. I feel like it's so intrinsically connected to just tapping into that flow that we're talking about,
Mhm.
that ultimately if it's like I want to write a song, I write a song right now, you know, because it's that's the inspiration, right? And so, like you said, a thought came in your head when you were just driving, and it was just like that was the universe planting something. It's just doing that all day long, right? And it's just a matter of which ones you kind of act on, you know.
Yeah.
And um, so, yeah, I mean, I love that. I love that aspect of it. It just so such life giving stuff, you know.
Mhm. Yeah, I find it, um I guess the word that comes to mind is sad that so many people either miss those thoughts or have those impulses, those pangs, the sudden feeling or urge, and they're like, "Nah, I could never
Yeah,
do that," or "I don't
yeah,
have time for that right
and
now."
it is that. It is that. It's missing the little, the little whisper,
Mhm.
or hearing the whisper and being like in the self-doubt of it for sure. But once you choose to just flow as we're talking in that, man, it just opens everything up, because there's no limit of inspiration or things that can be created in the universe, right? So there's no limit to how many different songs can be written. There's no limit to how many different paintings can be made and in what ways. Like you could play 100 billion different combinations of notes on one piano, and so it really embodies the infinite too, which I really love. And so when you tap into that infinite, it's like, oh, I'll write a million songs, I'll make a million paintings. It doesn't matter. I'll just go as long as until I'm like, oh, I should eat a sandwich or something.
I love that idea, the infinite and the flow and the 2, together. It I feel almost like if you're tapped into the flow and you're staying present,
Yeah.
that you won't get blocked or one won't get blocked because you're just gonna be moving to whatever it is that you feel like you should be moving to. So, like, if you get stuck on that book and you pivot away, you might and then go into the, presence, through meditation, whatever it is, you might realize, "Oh, man, like, I'm actually supposed to, like, go and deal with the garden right now." And then while
Yeah.
you're in the garden,
Yeah.
that impulse comes right back to the book. So as long as you're constantly pivoting and adaptable and flexible, the flow never ends. It's
That's
not
exactly
singular.
it. It's exactly it for me, you know? And that's how I live every day, you know? You're reading the book, and then you're like, "Oh, I should put some more compost on that one garden bed." And so you go out there and you realize, "Oh gosh, I actually have to do all these garden beds." So you do all that, and then when you're doing that, you realize that you really want to write down this one lyric, and so then you go and write down the lyric, and then you start playing the piano for 2 hours, you know? And
Uh-huh.
then you need to have lunch. Yeah, like it always just comes back to in between the next meal, you know?
This is now a food podcast.
But you know what I'm saying? Like like to bring it to the day to day, then you go have
Yes.
lunch. Like it is that. It's for me, it's reading that book, going to the garden, going to the piano, living like that, but intentionally, not just bouncing around aimlessly like a pinball or anything. It really is guided because you are living from that centered space,
Uh-huh.
not living in fear or worry or whatever, but just trying to fully express yourself.
I was having this conversation with my girlfriend recently, and we were both saying the same thing. And she was saying, "But this is how." And I was like, "Yes, I agree. We're both here, but how you got there and how I get there are totally different, and that's okay. In fact, there might
Yeah.
be like multiple ways to come to the same solution, same agreement, same answer." And I had to learn the flow, kind of opposite of you in the sense that I was really loosey-goosey in university. I smoked a lot of pot. I didn't take life seriously. I floundered. I wasted a lot of time, in my opinion now. By the same token, one could argue that I am where I'm supposed to be and everything happened the way I was supposed to. And for that, I'm very grateful. But my point is, because of that, I went into being super regimented, that I wanted to like get every second out of every day and like maximize my amount of time. But it wasn't until life would start to say like, "Yeah, that's not happening. That's not the plan today." And I would get frustrated and be like, "Dude, like this is like taking me away from this and I'm supposed to be working on this." It was going through that whole struggle and challenge that I realized, "Oh, if I just listen to the flow and just stay flexible like this, I'll actually be even more efficient than I thought I could be."
Oh, beyond your wildest dreams and imagination. You said something earlier about this, it's so far, what the universe can give and create. It has infinite organizing power, as they say. Like
Mhm.
there's no way, because there's no way for us to truly comprehend what the infinite can achieve, right? And so we can have, it's kind of like, oh, I really want one flower. I really want this rose. This is what I want. I want this one rose. And the universe the whole time is trying to give you like a whole flower farm,
Yeah.
you know? And you're so stuck on the one rose because you want it to be yellow, or something. And the universe is like, I'm trying to give you a flower farm, and it has every color.
Yeah.
But I think that is a big one, that's a really big one because that has to do with desire, right? And channeling the right energy in the right direction and being discerning with what you put your energy into really has an effect on your life. And your desires are really just the seeds of who you are and what you're going to become now.
I like the that flower analogy. One of my coaches, therapists always says this was something better. In fact, I think my ex-wife used to always say this was something better. And I love how you could have, I want this $1,000,000 and I'm so fixated on this $1,000,000 and I'm do everything I can. And the universe is like, yeah, but how about 10?
Yeah,
How about
exactly.
100?
And the thing is, those desires are the seeds, though. As long as you just keep following them and don't fall into like that fixation on that million, right? Or
Hmm.
fixation on the one flower. Is because if you just keep following it, then the whole farm comes, or the whole 10.
Yeah. Yeah, I had this term coined a few years back, but I didn't really understand it and put into action until over the last year or two. Present hindsight, right? So, like, hindsight is this beautiful gift of being able to look backwards and then see things more clearly. I'm trying to do that or activate it in the moment. So now when these thoughts come up or impulses or the universe is like, you're about to record a podcast, your entire computer is restarted and everything's offline, I immediately say, okay, what does this mean? Like, instead of getting frustrated to fix this, I say, where am I supposed to be going
Yeah.
instead? Like, what else is happening right now?
Yeah. And that's I feel like for me, that's real listening, you know,
Mhm.
and to even know that that is available to you is, I mean, that's, it's not a lot of people even may even know that, you
Yeah.
know, to even know that that's an option.
So, what is because I would feel horrible if we didn't talk about music and then also leave some really cool anecdotes for aspiring artists and creatives out there from you.
Yeah.
What is the revelation that you had?
I love it. Well, okay, so really the revelation of Freedom Heart Song, it, well, I was standing on um this kind of mountaintop. I was staying in Joshua Tree during a meteor shower. And um that night I had really tried to not be on the phone, be using electronic stuff, just really kind of disconnect. I had my guitar, just the acoustic. And I was really getting deep into all these records that were at this Airbnb. There were all these amazing vinyl records that I was like, oh my gosh, they have this one, they have this one. And so I was just listening to records over and over and over. And I was standing on this kind of mountain looking out into this valley. And I really just had was having all of these revelations on how I wanted to create and share my music moving forward. Like the whole process from start to finish. Not changing style or something like that, but more about its core and where it comes from, how I write it, how I record it, how I produce it, how I share it, everything. And that's when actually I wrote Shooting Stars, which is the next single that's coming out in 2 days. And this was about 3 years ago or so, 2.5 years ago, 3 years ago. And so in that moment, though, I also realized that, like, how, just in a whole new level, how pure music really is, and how if I was like writing these songs that didn't want to write them in my phone anymore or write them, you know, digitally or anything like that. I just wanted to have a pen and a notebook, a pen and paper, and write the songs that come to me. Right. And then if I was going to record them properly, proper mics, everything. And so that's really what I did in that moment. I stopped doing any kind of digital recording on my phone or uh, typing in the notes app on the phone or anything like that, which is very convenient, right? You can do it right away. But what it did for me was that it brought this um earthier sense of the craft. It really brought an earthier sense of the craft for me in that, the music just became so much more inside me because it's easy to record something, oh, record, and then, you end up with 2,000 voice memos or whatever. I was doing that a lot. It's very
Yeah.
effective. But I think I really wanted to write this next full album as truly my best work yet. And we always want to do that as artists, but I really wanted to create something that was just absolutely beyond anything I'd made so far and really true to my core and as pure and unadulterated as possible. And so that is kind of the story, Cliff Notes version of the album and where it comes from. It's really a wonderful representation of me musically and the music coming through me and how I want to share it.
Yeah. That's beautiful, and I agree with you. I've been saying this to some of our artists, that we work with on the development side for a while now that, and I'm by no means the first to say this, but you have to focus on your art first and foremost. You can't sit there and make a song or a painting thinking about how it's gonna be sold or marketed. It has to be a pure, controlled environment where you just 100% of the energy goes into creating that, nurturing that, then the business happens. And they overlap for sure. There's definitely like, a connection, but you have to just create. And, speaking with flows and vibration, I got this from my girlfriend for my birthday. I am a fan of Nipsey Hussle amongst other artists. And she got this book by accident. She thought it was, from him or official, but it was just some other guy, Delano Gurley, who took inspiration from him and put something out there, and I just found it so funny that I read this yesterday. The golden rule in art is to tell your truth. Timeless art requires powerful words, incredible quality, sincere delivery. It's that simple.
I love it. Yeah. I mean, what else is there to say? It's exactly right. It's, and I think that is everyone's art,
Mhm.
whether they're making music or art or not, but people living and telling their truth is their art, right?
Yeah, absolutely, and if you're not telling your truth, if you're worried about the other things, that's when art becomes contrived or maybe, insincere.
Yeah. We don't
Gotta
want
stick.
any of
So for you, the revelation is just to focus even more on, this beautiful world that you live in, which is sincere and present and also artistic and creative, and let them intermix.
Absolutely. As much as possible, always. And so it's not like one specific revelation, but just more an evolution, right?
Mhm.
And as expressed then through the music, which tells us a similar story and conveys, all the music is meant to just give inspiration and joy and peace or whatever it is at whatever time for whoever, you know,
Yeah.
to share that energy. And so, yeah, I'm really excited about it because it's pretty damn good. I'll tell you.
I think it's great. I mean, I love the amount of blues and, like, funk adjacent stuff is in this folky sound. I mean,
Yeah.
it's one thing to read that in the press release, it's another to press play and hear it, and,
Right.
yeah, there's a vibe, there's a groove, there's a soul to the sounds that are coming out on your tunes.
Thank you very
The
much. Yeah, I appreciate that. You know,
Well,
it's made with soul, so I'm glad you can feel the soul because that means everything to me because that's all there is.
yeah. Well, I love these conversations because they say don't meet your yeah, what's the word? Be careful when you meet your heroes and things like that, but which I understand, but I've always found that when you meet creatives who are authentic and you start to hear their story, get their vibe, have a conversation like this, the art takes on a whole new meaning and is even more impactful and even more powerful. And I can already feel that just by having this conversation with you. Because for the
Amazing.
last 45 minutes, it's been flow and love and gratitude and presence. And literally the album centers on presence, perseverance, self-realization, and spiritual awakening.
Well, I guess it's working harmoniously.
So those things obviously naturally found their way into your music, and you put those same sentiments and feelings out into the universe. That's how you feel. What are some of the things that you do to get back on the path? Give me 1 second. I got to clear my throat.
Oh yeah, yeah.
That's the one downfall with having four children at home. That under 10, you're always sick, no matter what.
Yeah, I bet.
I'm,
I bet.
I'm always being tested.
Yeah.
Um,
Well, you're doing great. Would have never known.
thank you.
Yeah.
My question really is like, it's really easy for us to sit here and talk about this stuff. We've been through
Yeah.
our journeys. We've been through like crazy life experiences and hardships and had these lessons that we've heard or learned or watched, realized in real time going through these things, saying, oh, okay, that's what it means. But what are some of the things that you practice to remind yourself? Because we all have days where we wake up and we feel like, "Oh, what's the point?" Or like, I'm not getting anywhere, or this person is doing so much more, or is more successful than I am, or I just really wish that this album would hit. What do you do in those moments to bring yourself back to grounding? And don't just say meditation. You can't give me one answer.
I would say breathing. I mean, I really think to bring yourself back to the center. I think it's all about focusing your thoughts and breathing and aligning it with your breath. I mean, in a very real, practical way, I think that nothing else works for me. Like, really, if I'm going off on some trip about, oh, well, I'm worried about such and such, the only thing that can bring me back, of course, there's music, some impactful music can get me back. But if I just close my eyes and breathe deeply and really just intentionally reconfigure my thoughts and refocus myself and then just start again, I think that's what it is. It's the constant realignment. I think that's what I do is I try to constantly realign. I know that I where I want to be is living from my soul, from my spirit. And I think as the world happens and as my life happens, I just try to keep getting back centered. And whether that's, you know, uh, specifically meditation or breathing or just going outside and being in the sunshine, going to the ocean, riding a motorcycle, playing rock and roll, whatever it is that's just going to get me back to feeling good and feeling and enjoying my life because
Uh-huh.
there's a Hafiz poem that says, I sometimes forget that I've been called to dance the sacred dance of life. And I think we all do every day, right? Is forget that. And
Yeah,
so I try and do whatever activity or thing it is that's going to remind me to do that.
I'm with you. Um, let's try a hypothetical, just because you and I are in maybe different worlds than a lot of people, and I don't want to just assume that it's only artists and creatives watching.
Yeah.
Someone has a 9 to 5, they get fired from their job. What would you say to them in terms of like getting back to a centered spot?
Hmm. A centered spot because they lost their job. Well, I'll say that, I've been through things like that and really unpleasant things, losing all my income or everything and having nothing and needing to having responsibilities that can't just not get taken care of. And that's like a really terrifying place to be. That's for sure. But I think ultimately it just comes down to faith in yourself, and faith in the universe and knowing that you do have the willpower to achieve anything no matter the circumstances. And I think recognizing that and then embracing it and then never recognizing failure like we were talking about earlier, like each failure is really just a realignment and a redirection. And so I think anybody going through that kind of thing, all things must pass, right? All
Yeah,
things come and go. There's a time and season for everything. And life is not always rainbows and puppies, sometimes it's hard. um but the reality is there's so many cliches about, what doesn't kill you makes you stronger, etc. But I think that we have such potential, you know we have such potential. Like, you have amazing potential to do the things that you are here to do, right?
uh-huh,
And so do I, and so does every single other person, right? And so if you just lost your job, well, it's gonna be all right.
yeah,
I would say listen to Bob Marley's Three Little Birds, for starters, like just to get that perspective going. And then you just keep putting one foot in front of the other, you know? And
yeah,
that's what has worked for me in the past.
yeah. I feel like a lot of people, myself included, probably still, um, have expectations, feel like we're owed something when life is already the gift. We've already been given the gift. The rest is up to us. We get to do whatever we want with that gift, and we shouldn't expect anything from anyone other than ourselves. And I'm so happy that you mentioned Bob because like part of my like actual spiritual awakening journey started in university. I was, I don't know, probably 20, 21 around there. And I don't know if I was drinking or smoking or neither or both, but I was stressed out about something. And I, to this day, don't remember what it was. If it was like, screwing up with school or a bad grade or something. But I lived in the dorms and I went to the bathroom, this co-ed bathroom where you got stalls on left and right side. And then right at the end was this little AM, FM radio, just to drown out bathroom noises. And I got in there to take a pee and I basically did this big sigh and leaned my head back closed. And at that same moment, I tuned into my surroundings, and it was precisely at the time that every little thing is gonna be all right. And I was like, what are the odds? And that was my moment. That was where I really started to pay attention to things because I said, what are the odds of
Yeah.
that song at that moment and with that sigh, with what's happening in my life? And it changed everything for me.
That's beautiful, man. I absolutely love Bob, and one of my biggest influences ever, top 3, you know,
Yeah.
100%. And, yeah, that song and so many others, just speak such timeless truth. Let us all aspire to write and share the way that Bob did, you know what I mean?
Mhm. I think that's the perfect example of this conversation, right? Like a man with so many hits, with so much incredible art, was probably just so present and so grateful and so simple and humble and tapped in for the majority of his creative life.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, what a beautiful example of human potential, you
Mm.
know? Absolutely.
So, other than the answer that you're going to give me, which is, I'm just going to keep doing me, I'm going to keep growing and going and flowing,
I
what,
hope that's not getting tired.
no, not at all.
Okay.
Not at all. But like, you have to still have a plan. You have to still have a goal. You have to
Yeah,
still be aiming in a direction, right?
yeah,
Aim for the blank, land amongst the blank, as the expression goes,
yeah,
the moon,
yeah,
and you'll still land amongst the stars.
exactly.
Um, well, what is your goal? What is your plan? I mean, I know you have an album coming out. I think it's in July. It's 12
Yeah,
tracks.
end of June, June 26th.
Oh, June, my bad.
No, you're good.
5, 10, 15, 20 year plan.
Oh, yeah, I have all those. Definitely. Um, as far as what though? In what realm? I guess is the question. You know, my 5, 10, 20-year plan for what?
Freedom Heart Song changes the world.
I'm down. Oh, one tune at a time. Well, you know, I think that I do want to continue to share the music and the message within it of everything we're talking about that we've already said. We already
Mhm,
know what it is. I know that that's what I'm here to do and what I'm here to share, specifically through the music and the art. And so, um, in the kind of expansion of that and over the next years, I'm really just creating it growing and touching everyone on the planet, every single person. We talked about Bob. Um, I don't think there's any person on the planet doesn't know Bob Marley and One Love. You know what
mhm,
I mean? And that has had an impact and it has helped people that just lean their head back and take a big sigh because they're going through a lot in life. And then Three Little Birds, don't worry about a thing comes on,
mhm,
and I think that is the potency and the legacy of music. And so I think the expanded plan is really just what legacy am I leaving? How am um I leaving my footprint in the sand, you know? And I think sharing the music and the inspiration with as many people as possible, and creating art as I'm inspired that will inspire others. Um, does that kind of hopefully that kind of answers what you're saying.
absolutely. I mean, I think you and I are similar spots in some regards. It's funny how when you're building something and you have this desire to help, you have this want to share something beautiful,
Yeah.
there's that, you know, trap of then thinking about the success and the marketing and how do I get there rather than just staying present. So I'm at this inflection point now of trying to come to terms with the point that the marketing and the growth is simply me walking the walk. That I
Yeah.
just need to wake up and keep building and keep doing me and as you know, you can't just throw caution to the wind, but that is the point. If you're doing that and you build something around it, then whatever's supposed to be will come.
Absolutely. You do the work, that none of like how I feel about the subject should be interpreted as like anything other than you still have to put in the effort,
Yeah.
right? And this isn't about like I don't get up every day and just well, hopefully something will happen. You know what I mean? Like that
Mm.
to me, that's not going with the flow.
Yeah.
Going with the flow is you are pouring forth creative effort. You are doing your part, and that is what keeps you in the flow. You know
Mhm.
that's what keeps you there. And I think yeah, everybody doing their part, everybody on the planet doing their part. That's kind of like a really big thing for society as a whole. Everybody
Yeah.
just kind of recognizing what their part is and then doing that.
Mhm.
You know, so
I, have talked to quite a few people on the industry side, and it's kind of blunt, but good art is good art. And sure, there's an amount of like luck and timing to a lot of these things, especially within society, within an industry. But at the end of the day, the majority of the time, if the music isn't hidden, it's probably because it's not as
yeah,
good
yeah,
as other. And that comes back to the discussion about authenticity, right? Like, don't make music because of someone else or for someone else or for a sale or for a deal. Make music because this is what I got to make, and it
yeah.
feels like I got to make it.
Absolutely, and, that's when people ask me what kind of music I play, I say soul music, because
Yeah,
it falls in a lot of genres, but really it's just soul, you know?
yeah,
But, it's bluesy rock and all that, but, um, yeah, we gotta do the effort, put in the effort, though. I think that's a really important thing to remember because, um without that, we're not using our willpower, which is one of our strongest gifts.
yeah. I don't know why, but you just reminded me of this saying that I think is so important. It's that, and it can be read both ways, but the soul's purpose is your sole purpose, or your sole purpose is your soul's purpose.
Yeah, I love it. It's great.
That's how I live and die right now. Just
Yeah.
whatever my purpose, just keep going.
Yeah,
Um, do me a
everything.
favor because you've got some Grammy nominations. You've done everything like independently. You've had a lot of successes. You've had a lot of incredible wins. You've
Mm,
produced a lot of amazing content.
mm,
When I say produced, I mean like literally created and produced the albums. Like you've done a little bit of everything.
yeah.
What are some important lessons for aspiring musicians that would love to be in your position? What do you think that they have to do other than create for creation's sake?
Well, yeah, there's been some really good stuff. I had linked up with Sony in 2019, and then the first couple pieces of music I put out through them got on the Grammy ballot. We didn't get the nominations, but we had some votes and some momentum, and played with a lot of um, just played for a lot of beautiful people in a lot of beautiful places, and um, I'm really thankful. I think that for people that are aspiring to, I mean, I guess turn their art into something viable they can share on a grander scale, you know, and hopefully make some money doing it because after all, art and music is very valuable, right? It's very valuable. I think that it's all about persistence, you
Mhm.
know, when it comes to creating anything, especially music. and sharing it because there's a million anybody can go buy a guitar, right? Um, and there's a lot of noise in the world, right? But I think that when it comes to music, it's not an overnight thing, you know? It doesn't happen in one day. It takes years to develop yourself as an artist. Like even the best artists in the world, it takes time and dedication to the craft and to playing and to singing for thousands upon thousands of hours, endlessly because that's who you are, right? If you're doing it because you want to be something, it's never going to work out. It has to be who you are because that is when um you really embody it. And then the amount of effort that's required to achieve what you want to achieve, it doesn't matter because you love it and that's what you are. And so
Yeah,
it's not like you're going to do something else, you know, like, oh, I'll just go be a whatever. Yeah. It's like, it,
yeah.
it, it doesn't work like that. So I think it really just comes back to persistence and determination and just knowing that that's really who you are. And if you do know that's who you are, then you have no problem, you know.
Totally agree. Totally agree because success is different for everyone, and that's also okay.
Yeah.
It's funny, there's this really simple concept that I started to think about after speaking with this artist, Brian Anthony Joyce of, Major League recently. We were talking about failure and people, giving up before they've succeeded, and most people do. And the irony is, I gave up because I didn't succeed. Yeah, but you didn't succeed because you gave up.
Yeah,
It's
totally.
that simple.
It is because the person who succeeds, like we talked about earlier, doesn't failure doesn't exist to them,
Mm,
you know? The person who succeeds in anything they want to do, there's no such thing. You're just having those learning experiences. Or it's the type of failure that you were talking about with your daughter, I believe,
mhm,
where it's like, oh, good job. You know, you learned something. Now you're gonna do something based with that information,
mhm,
you know?
yeah.
Um,
Alright, last one.
yeah.
How does one and there's no right or wrong answer. How does one stay grounded and true to their values and their integrity in an industry that preys on weaknesses, ego, and insecurity?
I think that you can't ever have your value determined by someone else, and you can't base um your kind of self-love and self-respect as an artist or what you think of your art on anyone else's opinion ever. Um, I think that everybody has an opinion. We all know the phrase, we all know the expression. Uh, but it's true. Everybody does have an opinion, and especially in this world. You could ask 10 different people, what do you think of this song? And they will give you 10 different answers. And sometimes complete polar opposite. Oh, the vocal sucks. The vocal is the most beautiful thing I've ever heard in my life. Like, you could literally have that experience as an artist, especially in music. And you can't be attached to any of that. You know, you have to be making your art because again, it is who you are, and your self-worth is not determined by that, because yeah, I think that's really the one of the biggest things, it really is because it's so easy to get carried away with, oh, well, this person said this about it, and so then I should change this thing. Oh, well, maybe the drums are a little too much here.
Mm,
But you don't actually think they are. You think the drums are perfect. You think they're exactly where they need to be. But someone comes along and says, "Well, those symbols are really, not," and then all of a sudden you start, "Oh, okay, I'll change the symbols." And not to say that feedback isn't good. You should always have feedback as an artist from people you respect, and who respect you. Um, but I think that's really, for me, one of the biggest things because, especially when, like you said, when you're young and you don't really know or whatever, like just go with your own knowing. Go with your own gut feeling on your art. And then you never have to be disappointed because you always have acted from, hey, well, I'm making this art the best that I know how. I'm making this song the best that I know how. And I feel like that's that's really it in its purest form anyway.
Yeah. Stay firm in your convictions, stay true to your art, but also don't be, I guess, be humble because you never know when someone will come along that can help you grow and get even better.
Absolutely. And I feel like that applies no matter what stage you are at in art or even life is
Mhm.
like there's some everybody has something to offer, right? And
Yeah.
you could meet someone who will teach you, will blow your mind. It's like when you hear an artist you never heard before and their music is like, oh my God, this is amazing. And then you start thinking about, oh, well, what guitar are they using on that? Oh, where's that sound? And then you start learning about the sounds and it informs the process.
Almost like when you hear something for a first time and that's your entry point to the artist and it really gets your mind going. Like when I heard your first song ever for me was Gold Mine, and I was
Oh,
like,
nice.
immediately I was like, Gold Mine, the gold is mine. And it was
Yes.
a totally different experience because that's how I interpreted it.
Oh man, I love that because that's how it is written. And thank you so much. I appreciate that. Because not everybody will tune into those subtleties. Because,
Yeah.
but that's songwriting. Some of the most. I think feel like with songwriting too. I try to say the most impactful things that convey whatever the message is as clearly as possible in the simplest terms as possible. You know
Yeah.
what I mean?
Yeah.
Thanks for listening and understanding that. That's really great.
Well, I'm pumped because I get to now go into a summer with, like, some really cool heart songs to, like, make
Hell
my
yeah.
my vibe and my flow go even better.
Oh yeah, man. And there are definitely summer vibe songs on that album. No doubt about it. We're in Southern California. It's kind of endless summer, you know what I mean? And so the
Yeah.
music's created in that and wonderful, man. Yeah, I'm happy you enjoy the tunes. Means a lot to me.
It's funny is, my kids are always putting on tunes in the car. They always wanna hear stuff, and, uh, for some reason, talking about California and your vibe and the songs, I just thought of this. They have been really stuck on the Dirty Heads song. I don't even know if it's called Occupation, but the line is, "I'm on vacation every day because I love my occupation."
Oh,
I'm
I love
probably getting it
that.
wrong, but that's the tone, you
Yeah.
know?
Yeah, I love that. I mean, that sums up everything we've been talking about, you
Yeah.
know?
I'm so grateful for your time, Freedom. This has been such a rad chat. What a good way to, start the week off for me.
Right on, man. Me too. Thank you for having me. I appreciate it very much. It's been an absolute pleasure chatting with you. I'm very thankful.
Do me the hard favor of wrapping us up and giving, like, one last gift of wisdom to listeners and watchers.
What type of wisdom? What type
Anything.
of ah well,
Maybe gardening.
gardening. Well, gardening, okay, gardening, always make sure that you just use like a good garden soil at a compost blend and just that's all you need to grow good plants. But no, really though, I'm just very thankful to talk to you and have this experience and share a bit about the art and wisdom wise, we started it this way and it was a theme throughout, and we'll just, kind of end on it too. Just go with the flow and listen to your heart. You're the heart dealer on the heart song, you know. Just go with the flow, listen to your heart, and surrender everything you think you know, and allow the universe to bless you.